4-3. Thanks, Shepard.
Hey, that little guy right there, McConnell. Yes, sir, man. You got to give him some flowers too.
what is going on? It's been a minute. Duty calls, and your boy just be having to go do his thing. But I'm back. How y'all doing? Haven't talked Florida State stuff in a while. Knicks decided to lose again, so my night sucks. FSU is FSU, so I don't know. I don't know if there's a positive spin on anything that's going on tonight. So me and Black Label are gonna be some pretty good friends tonight, man. What's going on with y'all? It's been a minute, y'all, man. Just a little impromptu live stream because I ain't got nothing else to do. Thought maybe I could come on here and be happy that the Knicks tied the series, but instead we're down 0-2 despite having home court advantage. So there's that. What's up, man? What's up, y'all? It's been a minute. Let me hold on. Let me post this. And it's Noles After Dark. So we can get on here and just chop it up about these good old Seminoles. I'm not even sure what's been going on with these boys. I've been in school the past month, so I haven't really been able to look and see what's going on. I mean, to me, it just looks like, I don't know, maybe the same old's going on. What's up, Peter? Pack them up, just locked me in for 8 wins. I wish. 8 wins would be revolutionary, as far as I'm concerned. But we just want to have some impromptu discussion tonight, man. So whatever you got to say, comments, questions, whatever, man, go ahead and put it in the chat. Just talk about it. William, I'm not worried about Bama anymore because I believe that TC will play just Jordan Travis and upset the Tide. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. I'm not here to rain on anybody's parade, William. Do your thing. If you believe that, then more power to you. Yeah. If you believe that TC is going to play like Jordan Travis, I don't know what the response is to that, other than, I mean, God bless you and God bless him and God bless these Florida State Seminoles, and let's hope that happens. Let's hope that happens, because I don't know if I see that. Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, we're in the kind of the doldrums when it comes to the off season. Springs came and went. Doesn't really look like FSU. Doesn't seem like it, I'll say. I don't know if y'all have any different perspectives, but it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of momentum. Like, you're heading into June, July. That's usually where the momentum. That's usually where your recruiting room, at least historically, for a Mike Norvell football team. He does some of his better recruiting in the months of June, July, leading up to August, and doesn't seem like that's the case this year. I think things seem a little. I think things seem a little just too quiet. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. It seems like it's a little quiet out here on the trail. So it just leaves a lot of we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're just trying to figure out what's going on. KCS, what's going on, man? He says, we know Mike sucks at interviews, but he's not even answering questions anymore. Straight up Kamala word salads. It's embarrassing. What's up, Michael? What's up, Ben? He said, I think Gavin's. So, I mean, if you want some positivity out of me, I'm not. I'm not worried about our running game. I think that was a great addition. Granted, he comes back healthy uh, because last year he only had 39 carries. But the year before that was 120. He had 120 yards, 120 carries, excuse me, for over 700 yards, 6 yards a carry, 9 TD. Had a good sophomore season at Oklahoma. Then last year, I'm guessing that's an injury. Didn't follow Oklahoma, so I don't know if he was injured. I mean, I'm looking at it, and it looked like he only played in. Well, he played. Let's see here. Hold on. He played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, he played in 8 games. So was he battling injury? Somebody who knows, let me know. I mean, because he played in 8 games. Is that because he battled injury, or is that just that he fell down the depth chart? But at the end of the day, I do think good addition to the rotation. I like it because I know you still have Chroma coming in, and I don't think you want to put too much on the freshman's plate. So I think that's a great addition. I know you still got Roy Dell for whatever that's worth. I'm not worried about the running game. Huge season, Jacob. I don't know what a huge season would be. I think he'll be in the rotation firmly, and hopefully is a solid contributor. Appreciate that, William. William says he believes. Hey, $4 super chat. Thank you, William, for that.
More money. Yeah.
D. Thompson was good. Baseball. Hey, man, you got a good baseball team. I know. Did they win? Did the baseball team play tonight? Don't know. I think the baseball team had a loss. I know we got a solid baseball team, pretty good baseball team. I haven't been keeping on the up and up with all the baseball stuff there. I feel like they lost recently, but we'll see what happens in Omaha with the baseball team. 2-10 says, what can you sell on the trail? I got a better question now. After 13-0, what could you sell on the trail? Answer that one. No, I won't be able to make it to that. Peter says he was hurt. So even though he played in 8 games, I guess he was dealing with an injury. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think I like the running back. Definitely probably going to be a running back. It's going to be interesting because if you look at Gus, historically, if you look at Gus, he likes it like whether it's Trey Mason. I mean, even if you look at last year with Harvey, like he ran for like 1,600 yards or something like that. Gus really, and I want to go back and look. So yeah, RJ Harvey ran for over 50, almost 1,600 yards. We ran for 1,577 yards, right? We know Trey Mason was a Heisman finalist under Gus Malzahn. We go back to 2023. Harvey ran for 1,400 yards, but he also had Johnny Richardson that ran for 500. If you go back to 2022, Plumlee was the leading rusher at 862, but Harvey had 700 yards that year too. He had Isaiah Bowser with 800 yards, but he had a ton of carries. He only had 3.9 yards. The point I'm making is Gus will run the ball. He likes to find him a bell cow, but it looks like he'll spread that ball around when he can. For sure. When did Gus take over at UCF? I think in 2021 he's still at Auburn. So we'll see. How do I feel about the new hire for basketball? I questioned it for the simple fact, I mean, Charlie Ward was available and you didn't get him. He goes, Charlie Ward is the head basketball coach at FAMU, which I find so crazy. It's like, so Charlie Ward's available, but you end up with this. I don't know much about him to say it's a good or bad hire. Seems like a financially driven hire. We'll see what he does. We'll see what he does. At 114-7 over Duke. Okay, so shout out to the baseball team. I know we got a good baseball team. We'll see what they do in the College World Series. And ML says Gus has no choice but to be running back up by committee. I kind of agree with that. I mean, you look at the running back room. We talked about Sawchuck. Such an interesting name, Gavin. Sawchuck. But you got Sawchuck, Roydell, Cam Davis, Chroma, and then still got a guy like Singleton, Jalen Lucas. So you are 100% correct. You have no choice but to kind of be a running back by committee this year. And then you got Thomas Castellanos, who I've already expressed that I don't believe he's the passer. But if you can get him going on the ground, maybe that will open up the passing lanes for a very small stature quarterback so you can see where he's going. Like, this could be a team that runs for a ton of yards this year. Runs for a ton of yards. So I guess I'll pose a chess question to you guys in the chat. How many yards you think we're running for? Like, okay, last year, let's just go. Last year, UCF did not have a good year. But again, they still had a 15,000-yard rusher. They had Ja'Cory Brown. That man, Ja'Cory Brown, if you remember, Ja'Cory Brown ran for over 400 yards at UCF last year at 8 yards a carry. Think about that. Now, he was the second leading rusher. They didn't get much out of Miles Montgomery or Penny Boone. Even KJ Jefferson, a guy who everybody thought was going to like flourish with Gus Malzahn, he didn't even crack 200 yards rushing. So last year was really a bell cow. RJ Harvey, force feed, get as many yards as you can. This year might look similar to the 2023 UCF Knights, where they had 3 guys with over 500 yards, 1 being a quarterback, 2 running backs. And then if you go to 2022, they had 3 guys with over 500 yards, Harvey, Bowser, and John Rice Plumlee. So is it possible that we have something similar? What do y'all think? Do y'all think we got 3 guys that's going to get 500 or more yards in this offense? Jacob says he's tired of people talking bad about TC's height. Well, I mean, he's small. Does it matter? How do I word it? My problem with TC isn't his height. That's just another contributing factor. But when you're so inconsistent of a thrower as he is, you have to then ask the questions. Is it because he can't see over the offensive line? Does he not see a wide open guy? So I think those are legit questions to ask. I feel like, a lot of guys feel myself into it. We'll see. Yards what? What are you saying, Peter? Are you saying as a total offense we run for 2,000 yards? I'll say this. As total offense we run for 2,000 yards, given what he's expected. Gus Malzahn, UCF as a total offense, right? To put it in perspective. Now, granted, last year they did the 3 500-yard guys that we were talking about, but last year he still was able to run. He was able to run. Hold on. Damn. I got to click on it. In 2023, 2022, 3,000 yards. I'd argue, and that's just at UCF. If you go back to Auburn, let's see, for the hell of it. Let me look at Auburn under Gus Malzahn. Point being, I think 2,000 yards is cutting it a little short, and that's just me because I don't see Thomas Castellanos throwing for 2,500 yards. I don't see that. That would be the shocker. Thomas Castellanos throwing for 2,500 yards plus. So under 3,000 yards, that seems a little bit iffy. Now, Gus Malzahn at Auburn at 2021, he only ran for 2,000 yards there, but he had Bo Nix. That's Gus's last year there, so he got fired. COVID year, we'll skip that one. I don't really want to count that, but I'll go to 19. So in 19, he runs for 2,500 yards. Bo Nix threw for 2,500 yards. 18, he only ran for 2,000 yards, but again, he had a quarterback that threw for 2,700 yards. 17, he ran for over 3,000 yards and had a quarterback throw for over 3,000 yards. That's in 17. 16 ran for over 3,000 yards. Ran for 3,500 yards, by the way. Didn't have good quarterback play that year. I don't know, man. I think we need more than 2,000 yards. Well, Jacob, if you recall, I think I thought it might have been the second game where I was like, yeah, this team sucks. It didn't take long for me to figure out that this team was pretty bad. Overall team rushing yards. What does FSU need overall rushing yards to kind of just be successful? You know, what is successful this year? I think that is one of the bigger questions that probably not getting answered by a lot of people is what is considered a success? What is considered a realistic success this year? I'm not sure I have that answer for you. I really don't. I'm really not sure. Offensively, if I go look at this team, right, as a whole, I have so many questions on offense. And for me, it just all starts with the quarterback. Yeah, I feel much more comfortable about the defense as well. But even with that said, there's so many questions on this entire team, right? If we just stick to the offense, it all starts with the quarterback. And then from the quarterback, you have to ask, okay, you had the Vanderbilt offensive lineman that guy hasn't participated in at all yet because of he was rehabbing an injury. So he didn't participate in the spring, right? So you don't even really know what you're getting there, okay? You think everything else, you think the O-line's coming, but you got to hope, right? Guys that have been proven players at prior stops, you got to see how they put it all together here. And then you have the wide receivers. Interesting group there. Very interesting group with the wide receivers, but their progress is going to all stem, right? Yeah, I mean, since the last time we've talked, what Hakeem Williams has hit the transfer portal. Florida State did add a receiver out of North Carolina. I don't necessarily know or have any optimism, might be the wrong word. I'm not looking for him. If you get something out of him, awesome. It's kind of where I'm going with that. Right. If you get something out of him, that's awesome. We'll see how that works. Right. They added some other offensive linemen, but they're freshmen, and I don't necessarily. Let's just talk about, since the last time we talked, actually. Let's talk about who they have added in the portal, because we didn't get to talk about that because I haven't been here in a month. So since the last time we talked, they added I can't pronounce that first name, Jalen Matthews out of Rutgers, 6'6", 340. I mean, freshman, by the way. So a guy that you're going to try to build a mold. They added the University of Houston. I think they have him listed at a corner. I don't know if is he a corner or a safety, but anyway, Jeremiah Wilson. A lot of people like this addition. I won't say that I don't like it. I'm curious as to why we keep adding DBs, but we did. Interesting to see where they line him up. We added another DB or safety at a USC, Jarvis Boatwright. Gotta love his size. Another Florida native kid. I'll be interested to see. I don't know if that's a guy that's going to play for you immediately. I don't necessarily think so, but I think he's a freshman. I could be wrong. Someone can correct me. I think he has a few years of ed. I think he's a freshman. So another young player, Josh Raymond, offensive tackle out of Vanderbilt. Another guy that I think is a freshman. You're not going to get much. And then Gavin Shawchuck. And then Gavin Blackwell, the North Carolina wide receiver. I guess he's like a slot guy. He was actually a good player coming out of high school, I think. Let me look at his recruiting profile. Yeah, coming out of high school, I mean, he's a top 200 guy. But I don't think he has. I don't think he was a very productive player. I'm gonna look up his stats at North Carolina here. Yeah, not productive at all. 43 yards receiving last year. 166 the year before, and 239 the year before that. So for whatever reason, take that for what it's worth. I'm sure, depending on who you talk to, they'll spin it in a certain way. We talked about production. If you're going to take a third year, I mean, this guy's going into his senior year, and he hasn't had a season of over 20 catches. He has one touchdown in his entire career. I don't know. I'm not excited about it, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who may be. Ben Foss says at least a bowl game for this team. So six wins is considered a success. We recruited Boatwright last year, and he chose USC. So we'll see what happens with that one. Yeah, we got the Rutgers offensive tackle. Again, I don't mind those young players like Boatwright, the offensive lineman, because those are guys that you're not they're going to add depth. I don't think those are guys that they're depending on to be major contributors. And they all those freshman transfer guys, they have good solid attributes to build on. So we'll see how that works out. As far as the portal goes again, and those additions, obviously Sawchuk, Wilson, and I guess Blackwell are the guys that you're expecting to get a lot of burn out of as far as the recent portal additions. I think Marguson Douglas also transferred out again for whatever that's worth. And they did bring in they did bring another quarterback in, I think, since the last time we talked. Jalen King out of where did he transfer out? I think he transferred. Where did he transfer out of? What the hell school is this? Eastern Tennessee State. He's 6'3", 210. I don't know anything about him. I don't know what he. Let's look him up. Let's see if we can see if he did anything exceptional while at Eastern Tennessee State. Now, I'm not sure there, but we're going to find out. My guess, though, if we're just being honest, my guess is that this is the guy that you brought in to like run the scout team. This isn't, you didn't bring in a guy to, he's not going to compete for the job. This is a guy that you're bringing in to run the scout team. He threw for 1,500 yards last year, 9 touchdowns, 11 INTs, had a 52 completion percentage at Eastern Tennessee State. So, yeah, zero expectation of him doing – I would have zero expectation of him doing anything while wearing garnet and gold. Even his running yards are – he ran for 422 yards last year and 5 touchdowns. For what's that? That's 4 yards a carry. For whatever that's worth. I think that's a guy that's going to run your scout team. I wouldn't expect him to ever really play for you. Have you watched any of the Chroma tape? A lot of buzz from FSU. I watched a few plays. He looks good, but I don't see the hype he's getting. What's your take? I think Chroma's a good player. I think Florida State fans need something to be happy about. I would say this. I'm glad you got the Sawchuk kid. I'm glad you do have depth in that room. I don't know if Cam Davis is going to be any good. I don't know if Roy Dell is going to be any good. So that's why I think Sawchuk is even more important. And I'm not one to put that much. I'm glad we got him. But I felt like before you got this Sawchuk out of Oklahoma, they were putting so much emphasis on when Chroma, like if Chroma's going to come in and be Leonard Fournette as a freshman, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot to put on his plate. But I'm glad you got other bodies in there. I'm glad you got other bodies in there to alleviate some of the pressure. I think Chroma can be as good as he's willing to put in the work. I think there's definitely talent there. Just simmer down on all the hype is all I would say. Douglas came back. Okay, I thought he left. I guess he came back. King will be redshirting. Well, good, because he's gonna need a red shirt. Gus uses one back for a boatload of carries and a distant number 2. So who's the odd man out of the rotation? That's a great question, Sport. Again, I don't know if you were listening when we were kind of going over what Gus has historically done, at least over the last handful of years. We kind of looked at some old Auburn stuff, and we looked at what he was doing at UCF. It's a mix on him. He likes a bell cow, but he will spread the ball around. He will do running back by committee. So I think it's going to depend on I don't know if you going into the year, there's not a running back on the roster that you're going to say is the bell cow. So I think he's going to feel it out. I don't think there's necessarily a distant number two back, to be quite honest with you. I think he's going to try to find him one, but I think a lot of guys are going to get opportunities, right? I don't think it's a this guy or bust. You know what I mean? I think I think a lot of guys may see a lot of carries. I think Gus understands that he doesn't have a bell cow, at least not yet. Maybe we get one, meaning maybe they just discover or figure out who that is. But as of right now, I think I think a lot of guys are going to have a lot of opportunities and chances to earn that. And yeah, I think that the offense is that's the kicker for me. And that's not me saying that I think the defense is going to be like immaculate. I just think the defense, believe it or not, has a lot of personnel that fit what Tony wants to do. Whereas I don't know if this offense is built. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this offense is built. I don't know if this offense is put together well at all, to be quite frankly honest with you. From quarterback to the receivers, just as a whole, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the offense, to be quite honest with you. Have you talked about FSU media yet? I have not. I did see recently they were talking about the kid that committed to Cal, and I guess FSU didn't really show interest in. I saw some of the stuff that they released. I think I don't know why it took Mike Norvell so long to like ban the media from his program, but at the end of the day, as a fan, I get it. We sit here and a lot of us are so starved for some type of news that we hang on everything. Two polar opposite years. The question I would ask the FSU fan is, what do you want? Last year, they told you this great team was on the horizon, and we went 2-10, and y'all hated the media for that. This year, it looks like they're taking a little bit more of an honest approach. This isn't me defending them, by the way, but again, I would ask the fan, what do you want? Do you want sunshine and rainbows? I understand most of y'all don't want the pessimistic side of it. Or do you want just the truth? It's one thing by the way, obviously don't consider myself media. That's the one thing I 100% stand on. I'm going to give you my truth. No narratives, no agendas here. I'm just telling you what I think. I would ask you, the fan, what do you want? You want them to lie to you? You want them to tell you the truth? Or do you think it's a hack job and they're trying to get Norvell fired? I don't necessarily know if that's the case. Norvell might most definitely probably is going to get himself fired, but that's another discussion for another day. Probably would have found out if there was a spring game. It would have been interesting to see how some of these pieces look. I think that's one of the most interesting things for this team going into the season, obviously, is we didn't get a glimpse at any particular player. I've done this on this channel ever since I created it. Every year, watch the spring game with you guys. And I always tell you, don't look at the results of the spring games. Those don't mean anything. I don't care if you put up 2,000 points in a spring game. It doesn't mean anything. What you want to watch is individual players and how they just look in semi-real-time speed. It was me who told everybody after the spring game, Jeremiah Byers isn't as good as they hyped him up to be. And look how that career played out at Florida State. And there were other ones, if you all remember, long time ago, I got a little pushback, and this wasn't really from Florida State fans, but I had went on Mark Rogers' show and told everybody Jermaine Johnson's the real deal. After I watched, they couldn't block Jermaine in the spring game. They couldn't. They had to take Jermaine Johnson out of the spring game because FSU couldn't. They couldn't just run normal offensive plays. And I said, that's the guy, and got a little bit of pushback. The point is, you can watch individual players and go, ooh, he's got something. He doesn't got something. It would have been very cool to see who has maybe that it factor and who maybe is a little overhyped or overrated. We didn't get to see that, so tons of question marks. This whole team is just one big question mark, in my opinion, which makes it interesting, right? It makes it fun. It also makes it frustrating, which when you're coming off of 2-10, it's not as fun. By the way, hit the like, guys. I appreciate everybody who's coming, kicking it. Noles After Dark. I know it's been a minute since we chopped it up. Thanks for, not a big crowd, but thanks for those that are in here. I'm on here as long as y'all want to talk. So keep the questions coming. We're back, hopefully back in the mix. Every time I say I'm back, duty calls again. Hopefully we're back for a little bit now throughout the summer leading into the season. They're hoping for another Benson to burst out on the field. If that's the case, then Sawchuk would be the guy. I remember how we all felt about Benson. No one liked that pickup. He was coming off a knee injury, had no production. Sawchuk at least has the production, probably built similarly to Trey Benson. I mean, hopefully that's the guy. Like, that would be very nice. How do you feel about fans being mad at Terrence Knight? I think it's fun. In a serious note, I don't like the gay. I don't like the judge. It's very hard for me because on one hand, I firmly believe that recruiters recruit. I firmly believe, and if you just look at it, good recruiters get players. That's just what it is. This whole thing about you need to be able to win games and X, Y, and Z. Recruiters recruit, man. On the other hand, I don't want to judge Knight, and he hasn't even coached a game at Florida State yet. He hasn't, we haven't even seen how that front seven and how that defensive line in particular looks on the field yet for me to judge him. I would question who is he recruiting at, because usually when you're taking a guy from another school, and granted he was at Nebraska, but you're taking a guy from a school he was recruiting at Nebraska. Who were the targets at Nebraska that he was recruiting? And has that transition to Florida State? That's the bigger question for me. Understanding that he was at Nebraska, when's the last time Nebraska signed a 5-star defensive lineman? That's a great question, actually. Let's look it up. Because why the hell not? I'm going to look that up. And the reason why that's relevant is the pool of talent that he was recruiting at Nebraska is probably why he hasn't had – he's now having to build relationships with a different pool of talent. And he doesn't have those relationships because he spent the last couple of years at Nebraska having to find literal gems, right? Like, and I firmly believe that. I firmly believe what I'm saying. If you don't, I understand it. But that's why I'm not ready to judge him quite yet. Where the hell is Nebraska in the recruiting rankings? There they are at 61. Okay. Now I want to look at, we're going to go to last year. Last year, the highest rated defensive lineman. Shit, they didn't recruit a defensive lineman. Am I looking at transfers? No, these are commits. Wow. He didn't sign a defensive lineman last year, guys, from the high school ranks. Okay, let's go to 2024. Yeesh. That's not good. D lineman Ashton Murphy, 3-star. was the highest rated defensive lineman for Nebraska in 2023. Okay. So let's just go again. I just want to see when's the last time Nebraska signed a top tier defensive lineman, period. Nope. 2023, another 3-star was the highest rated defensive lineman they got. Unless you want to count Prince, who's more of a linebacker edge guy, but he was, 6'4", 225. When I'm thinking defensive lineman, I'm thinking hands in the dirt guys, not Prince Will. 2023, they did have Prince Will, if you want to count him. I'm kind of not counting him, but for the benefit of the doubt, you can count him if you want. In 2022, you guys seeing the trend here? Nebraska, and I don't know how long he was at Nebraska. I don't even know if he was at Nebraska in 2022. But the bigger point that I'm making is, when's the last time Nebraska signed a top-tier defensive lineman? It seems to have been a while. Again, so why with the benefit of the doubt that I'm giving Terrence Knighton is there wasn't anybody that he was recruiting at Nebraska that probably was a take. That's probably close to being a take at Florida State. He's got to build whole new relationships, man. He's got to get into those schools, those pipelines. He's got it might take a year or two if Mike Norvell's even here before maybe we see how his recruiting chops really are. And that's why I say I'm double-sided on it because, again, I believe recruiters recruit, but he obviously doesn't have the relationships built yet as far as in the state of Florida or maybe just in the Southeast when it comes to recruiting some of these defensive line. Polk, what are you looking out for the Alabama game? In my opinion, I think they're going to play hard. I want to be able to offensively. Can we hold up in the trenches? Defensively, can we hold up in the back end? That's what I'm looking at as of right now. We'll see how, what I'm looking at right now, and maybe when it comes game time, might be two wholly different things depending on the information as it comes when it, with this team. But as of right now, I want to see how we hold up front offensively, defensively. Can we, and can our secondary be effective? Yes, I was at that game. I was at the Cheez-It Bowl, sitting in the end zone. Yeah, he was running all over us that game. Okay, so he was only at Nebraska from 23 to 24. But again, my point was more so what pipeline has Nebraska had as far as defensive linemen? Again, I don't think there's nobody he was recruiting over there that you would bring here. So he's having to build whole new relationships is the point. Who wants to go in Nebraska and play football? I think Knight will be fine in FSU. Again, we just got to give it time and we got to wait and see. He's in a this has been Norvell's kind of philosophy, and it's kind of been my problem with Norvell from the beginning. And it's just that some of his hires, they're not recruiting focused. The benefit you had with Odell, who I've been hard on Odell for a long time, and I don't care what anybody says, it was warranted. But he had the pipeline, man. He had the relationships built, obviously. So Norvell could go into a school and he could recruit against any defensive lineman and any D-line coach or head coach for that matter in the country. Because he was Odell Haggins. You signed Knighton. I don't know if you hired him, with that thought process in mind of, oh, he's got to go recruit against Kirby Smart in the state of Georgia and North Florida and Florida in general. He's got to go recruit against Mario Cristobal. Right? Like, he's got to recruit against these guys. And that seems to be the problem with Norvell's hires is he doesn't consider the fact that you have to have, like, if I asked you right now, who's the ace recruiter on the staff? Does anybody have an answer for that? Because I don't have a clue. It might be Patrick Surtain by default. Who's the ace recruiter on the staff right now? Somebody tell me. Terrell says, can we control that wide receiver and the speed? What's it? Ryan Williams? We'll see. We'll see. I just can't. But is Herb Hand? You think Herb Hand is the best recruiter on the team? Maybe he is. I don't know. Yeah, Danzy's been winning a lot of. He's been doing some good things on the track. On the track. I would. Some people think he should leave football alone and focus on his track career. And that might be that might end up being the case for him. Not sure. I'm not saying I want him to do that. But he's that fast. I would love to get him, Here's a question for you, 850. If you got a quarterback that could even get Danzy the ball, I don't know. Hand and Surtain, so those are your ace recruiters. Yeah, I mean, I think that's might be kind of a problem. I think Yak's a better recruiter than people give him credit for. I think we forget about Coach Yak. If you look at Coach Yak, I mean, I know we don't, some of us, but Cam Davis was a big time signing. Singleton was that 4-star. Obviously, see, they landed Chromo as a top 5 running back. I think Yak's maybe a better recruiter than we give him credit for. Curtin's going to be Norvell's downfall. Man, I'm not even sure he has a downfall at this point. Mike Norvell, to be honest with you. What will be his downfall? That's a great question. Because it doesn't seem like losing is his downfall. So here's what's interesting about this team. Guys like Tylen Lee for me. I don't think he participated in the spring. I'm not so sure he was a early enrollee, right? But he's got that size. He's built. But the Tylen Lees, the Kevin Wins, those guys are going to be very critical for what Knighton, right? If we're talking about Knighton and him getting on the track, Kevin Wynn, Tylen Lee, and then KJ Sampson and Daniel Lyons haven't necessarily had big impacts. What does Knighton get out of those guys? Knighton is coming into a position that he has a calibers of players that he did not have at Nebraska. How's he work with that? And if he does well with that, does the uptick start now on his recruiting? We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Marvin Bracey, yeah, I know Marvin Bracey. He didn't play football. He went the track route. Danzy might follow. We'll see what happens. You're also getting what I think Xavier Thomas or Gregory Xavier Thomas. He wasn't an early enrollee. Now you're going to get him in the summer. Yeah, like a lot of interesting guys. Tariq Mallory. I'm kind of just looking at the roster to see, like who are we looking for on this roster? Like, you look at last year's class. Luke's gone. You got Charles Lester. I don't know if anybody's expecting much out of Charles Lester. I'm not sure I'm expecting much out of Charles Lester this year, if I'm being honest with you. You have Jamari Howard. He missed all freshman year because of injury. So this is kind of like, rehab year, getting back into football. I don't expect much out of Jamari. Kai Bates is going to be interesting. What are we going to get out of that? Manasseh. I don't know. Cam Davis. Again, that was a top 145, top 150 player. Didn't look that great as a freshman. We'll see how that plays out. Got Lil Wayne McCoys of the world. Amari Williams is a guy that I would pay a lot of attention to, moving back to the defensive side of the ball here. I'm going to be very interested in watching him. Landon Thomas. Elijah Moore is another one. Jonathan Daniels is another one. Denaz White transferred. D.D. Holmes transferred. Ricky Knight, guy that you haven't heard much from. I really liked him coming out of high school, even though he wasn't rated that high. You have Jamori Flagg still on the team. And then you have that just god-awful transfer portal class from last year. Listen to these names, guys. Sean Murphy. Cam Riley. I mean, he played some snaps for you. Omarion Cooper. Why even allowed him back, I don't know. Jacob Rizzi. He's still on the roster. He's going to probably be in the rotational line. I won't speak any bad about Jacob Rizzi. I won't speak any bad about Richie Leonard. Roydell Williams. TJ Ferguson. Didn't TJ hit the transfer portal? If he didn't, he damn sure should have. I feel like I recall recently that he hit the portal. Honestly, Sione Lolahea was probably the best addition you had in the transfer portal, guys. If we're being him and Richie Leonard, probably the best two additions you had in the transfer portal, if we're being honest. Tomawai Durage. DJ Suck-Ass Uyunglele. Malik Benson is going to make everybody that – I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to stand on it because I was saying it the whole time he was here. He's going to make everybody who says he sucked and was trash eat their words while he's at Oregon, when he actually is going to have a quarterback that can get him the ball. Watch what I tell you. Devontae Brown, never understood why we added him in the beginning. Jalen Lucas, he got hurt. Grady Kelly, Earl Little. I like Earl. Jalen Brown is gone because he got kicked off the team. Guy that I think they were expecting a lot out of this year gets kicked off the team. And then Marvin Jones Jr., one of the biggest disappointments of all time. Man, so crazy. So crazy. Ben Callahan says, I'm about to get out of the military soon. I don't know. This ain't on topic. But any advice for guys getting out of the military after 4 years? Yeah. Well, I would have to ask some questions. How old are you, first of all? And what did you do in your 4 years? What I'm don't leave. Don't leave how you came in. I'm pretty sure you came in with no college degree. None of this stuff. Don't leave the same. If you're gonna leave the same way you came in, you just wasted 4 years of your life, in my opinion. Leave with some certificates, leave with some degrees to help you out here. If you don't have any of that, man, you need to re-enlist, to be quite honest with you. If you're leaving the same way you came in, you're better off re-enlisting. Just my advice. What's up, Island Boy? What's up, Bonte? Your thoughts on TC? Everyone feeling he will be the next DJU. Well, I already done talked about TC. Yeah, he's going to be the next. I don't know if he'll be as bad as DJU. Let me put it to you like this. TC isn't good enough to elevate the offense. I'm going to tell you that. So that's just how I feel. I've said that about TC, and I stand on that. I don't have any faith that Thomas Castellanos is going to lead Florida State to anything of significance. He'll be better than DJU because the offense will be, built around what he does. He's not going to beat Bama. I'm just going to let you know week 1. He'll struggle against probably the better teams. But we'll see. What's up, Almighty? Nick's in trouble. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. No says use your GI Bill and go to school. Here's what I'll say about that. I'm not saying, and this isn't bad. That's not bad advice. But a lot of people say, I'm going to get out and go to school. The truth is, you're probably not going to do that. As a 23-year-old kid getting out. If you didn't go to school while you were in, the likelihood that now that you have all this time at your hand that you're really going to go to school is probably not feasible. But at the end of the day, it just depends on what you want to do with your own self. Again, my biggest thing would be don't leave how you came in. Leave with some stuff that you can use when you get out. If you're only 23, you said you're getting out with basically an associate's degree. You're still young, man. I don't know what branch you're in. I don't know necessarily what your job is. I don't know your reasons for wanting to get out. I'm definitely not a recruiter. I'm not trying to keep people in. I understand. I know people that have gotten out the military and made way more money than they ever could have made in. I know people that have gotten out the military and came back in 2 or 3 years because they just couldn't. You got to look at yourself and figure, if you have a plan, Ben, you'll be fine. If you have a legit plan. If you don't, just go ahead and re-enlist, my man. If TC beat Bama, Dreamland situation with the faith, I mean, you win games and people's opinions of you change. I mean, that's just what happens, Terrell Thomas. Like, I can say, I think TC sucks. I can say that all night, right? If he goes out there and he beats Alabama and throws for, he doesn't even have to throw for 300, throws for 225 and runs for another 100. And has 4 total. If that's the kind of performance that he's putting up, yeah, people's opinions of him will switch quick. What's the likelihood of that happening? I don't know. Right? At the end of the day, I say it every year. The players that I criticize and I tell you I don't think are that good, they all have the same opportunity. They all get to go on the field on every Saturday and shut people like me up. TC has a chance as the starting quarterback. Every Saturday, we'll have a chance to go out there and make me look like a fool. Let's see what he does. I'm not rooting against him, obviously, because his success means my team's success, which means I get to come on here Saturday nights and be happy, which I didn't do very much last year. Wasn't happy at no Saturday did I come on here happy. DJU, Big Dave doesn't know where I live. Ha ha ha. And Terrell says, get a bachelor's degree at least. You know, again, for me, get some certificates, get certified in some things. Again, I don't know what your job is, Ben. And I don't want to turn this into like, what to do when you get out of military type deal. But at the end of the day, leave with something. Bama doesn't scare me. It's not Saban's Bama. They lost to Michael. I love the optimism. I honestly do, and I appreciate this comment. The reason I appreciate it is because they lost to Vanderbilt, struggled against UCF, and Ty Simpson ain't the guy. That's awesome. You just went 2-10. You lost to Duke. You lost to everybody. So for you to sit here and say who they lost to, cool. Florida State went 2-10 in the ACC. If we had Bama's schedule, if we had Bama's schedule last year, what's Florida State record? Because I'm not sure you win a game. If you just want to keep it honest. Like, bruh, I hear you, but none of that means anything when you coming off a 2-10 in the ACC. Miss me with all of that. I don't want to hear Bama doesn't scare me. It ain't Saban's Bama. They just lost to this team. You lost to everybody. And this ain't Jimbo's FSU. So here we are. Bama can very well go out there and win by 30. Bama could very well go out and win by, like, I'm not telling no one not to have confidence, but you have to be realistic, as if we have anything to stand on going into this year. You have nothing to. Bishop Sycamore scares me. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, there's not one game that you should, other than I think we play like Eastern Tennessee or something crazy like that. Like, other than that school, like, there's not one team you should look at on this schedule and go, oh, that's an automatic win, bro. I don't. No, absolutely not. You better be scared of Bama week 1, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you get blown out that game, stuff's gonna get real. You think we can't recruit now? Let Bama, okay. Let Bama whoop that ass and see how. What? Yeah, you think it's bad now? That thing's gonna spiral out of control if you get destroyed by Bama week 1. I was 18 when I went to school, lost my scholarship, lost it because of weed. I'm trying to get my life on track. I'm in the Air Force. Military style just ain't for me. And I get that. Military style is not for everybody, and I completely understand that, Ben. So there's nothing wrong with getting that life on track. Again, as long as you have a plan, man, when you get out, you'll be fine. As long as you don't go back to that life that you were living, that you said you want to get your life on track, right? Don't go back to the life that you left. You'll be all right. We ain't Bobby Bowden's Noles at all, my man. At all. But it is Noles After Dark, guys. We are just, as you see, randomly chopping it up about these Seminoles. Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's hard to be optimistic. Like, I don't purposely want to come out here and be like, oh my God, this team X, Y, and Z. But it's hard to look at the team and go, okay, well, where's the bright spot? Where's the bright spots? That's the thing. That's the question I'll ask the chat, right? If you say, if you want to sit here and say, well, we're always being pessimistic, and everybody's always talking negative, and everybody's complaining. One of the one of the things I hate the most are the individuals on social media who complain about people who complain. Like, because I don't say everything's peachy, you mad at me because I don't say what you want to hear. So you complain about me complaining. It's kind of weird. Doesn't make sense to me. Because you're complaining that I'm complaining, but then you're complaining that I'm complaining. At the end of the day, I will ask the simple question: what's the bright spot? What are you looking not even looking forward to? Because all of us are looking forward to something. What are you going into the season about the Florida State Seminoles that you go, I don't know anything else, but I know this guy or I know this? Because I don't have it. I don't see it. There's not one thing about this team. Again, and that has a lot to do with the fact that we didn't get a spring and all this other stuff. And the roster is so drastically different now from last year. What are you going to the season going, yeah, I know what I'm getting? You don't know anything. Problem with Gus is the O was good in 2013. D is built to stop it now. No, the problem with Gus is where I get what you're saying though. Gus was kind of ahead of his time. There was still like a lot more. Well, I won't even say that because Rich Rodriguez and West Virginia had been around before Gus Malzahn. High up tempo. I mean, Chip Kelly at Oregon was doing this stuff before Gus. Like high up tempo, spread them out offenses. Had always been in college football before 2013. So I don't think these are built more so to stop them now than they were back then. I think it's all about personnel. Gus struck lightning in a bottle. He had a DB turned quarterback he couldn't throw, but he could make the passes when necessary. But he was a 4-3 guy. You had a 4-3 guy at quarterback, and all you was really running was read options. And Trey Mason was a bell cow running back. So you just read option with Trey, pull, and hit the open guy when you had him. Like, as simplistic as the offense was, it was effective because he. Okay, I think I'm back. That's the bigger problem is Gus having the personnel to run what he wants. You don't. Well, here's a better question for you, Caveman. What room do you hear about? That's a better question. What room do you hear about? What room have you heard about this offseason that is supposedly good, bad, or indifferent? I'm curious. I follow this team, and I haven't heard anything about anybody. At the end of the day, though, we're talking about linebackers. There's a good mix of guys at linebacker. I'm fine with the linebacker room, actually, believe it or not. I like the additions that came in, and I think the young guys who last year were growing, let's hope they keep growing. Linebackers are fine. Not too worried about linebackers. Sometimes it's hard to tell you when you're trolling on Twitter. I can't lie. Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Most of the time, I'm having fun on Twitter. To be quite honest with you, that's like 99% of the time because I don't waste my time on Twitter actually having real conversations with people. Because most people, they don't want to actually have real conversations, right? They just want to troll. So if you notice on Twitter, most of the stuff I post on Twitter is to have fun. There are certain things that I talk about on Twitter, but for the most part, none of it is worth getting upset about. Like, what's the last time? Look, like you scroll my Twitter right now, I don't even know the last time I tweeted about Florida State. Like, it's been all Knicks. What's the last time I tweeted? What's my last FSU tweet? Here, let's see. The last Florida State tweet I had was May 15th. And it was a article released about O'Brien saying about our quarterback. And the article reads, this is an interviewer saying that Kremer interviewed Bill O'Brien and said, I asked O'Brien, does this typify the issues with players transferring? And he said 95% of our guys are tough and smart. He was an outlier at Boston College. And he's speaking of Thomas Castellanos. He doesn't think he was tough or smart. That was the last time I tweeted about Florida State. FSU better get together because we're trying to go to the P2 and we need to be ready. And if we want extra money, team money, we need to start winning ASAP. The winning or losing won't have anything to do with getting he says, you've heard about, what have you heard about running back? He said, you've heard about running back. Here's a better question for you, caveman. Don't even answer that question. What is your, before I continue, what's your source of information? You say you hear about running back mostly. What, where do you get your source of information from? I'm just curious. Was that freshman tight end the best offensive player on the team last year? We had two freshmen tight end. Which one are you talking about, Ben? Landon or Amari? No, my phone. Great. Let's see what else we got. Landon Thomas. Okay. Who we got in the ACC championship game? Or who do I have in the ACC championship game? Great question. Well, Clemson looks like the odds-on favorite this year, as you know. Georgia Tech's an interesting pick. Thank you, Vontae. Georgia Tech's an interesting pick. I think SMU could be right back there. I wouldn't sleep on SMU. Georgia Tech's interesting. They've been recruiting well. You gotta hate to say it, but Miami, they have the players. We'll see how that we'll see how that pans out for them. Yeah, those are probably the favorites. Clemson, Miami, SMU. Probably got some sleeper. Like Syracuse might be a sleeper. I think. Like Syracuse is probably a sleeper. I'm pretty confident who won't be there. But yeah. So you said you double fries, no slaw, and war chant. Oh, double fries. That's why you're only hearing about running back. No. But yeah, that's the way that I see the ACC playing out. Um, I see nobody answered my question either. I asked, "What are you guys looking forward to?" And nobody answered the question, which proves my point. I love that some of us are optimistic and we want 8, 9, 10 wins. I got all that. But if you can't even tell me what going into the year that you're like, oh, I know this is going to be, 8 wins minimum. Pack them up. Tell me how we get there, though. I ain't mad at you for wanting 8 wins. I hope we get at least 8 wins, too. I just want you to tell me how we get in there. Please tell me how we get in there. How about the narratives 2 years ago and now seems silly? Billy was going to get fired and Georgia Tech had no NIL contributions. Boy, just a year ago, man, crazy work. How it shifts. Kind of sad how far we've fallen. Pack 'em up says he's looking forward to the running game. The team that went 2-10 isn't here anymore. Who's here? Michael, who's here? You are right about that. The team that went 2-10 for the most part isn't here anymore. You are correct. So now I'm asking you who's here. Who's the best player on offense? I'll ask you that. Who's your best player on offense? DBs will be the only group that's expected to be good. I don't agree with that, Momo. Actually, I think DBs are the biggest question mark on the entire defense. I actually think that front seven. I think that front seven will be fairly good, and that's based off the accumulation of talent that fits the scheme. Now, granted, those guys have to play well. But that's where I base that off of. I think the biggest question mark is that secondary. And the reason I have the question mark in the secondary is simple. The fact that you're still adding DBs in the transfer portal window concerns me, given the amount of guys that you've signed. So no No mentions of like the Ricky Knights, the Charles Lesters, the Kai Bates. Like Rawls, as it stands right now, Jabril Rawls is considered your best corner. Now, that could just be that he's completely outplayed his high school rankings and he has developed into a hell of a football player. It may be the case. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But as it stands right now, Jabril Rawls is considered your best defensive back. That kind of concerns me. I'm just saying that kind of concerns me. 8 wins, and I'm looking forward to seeing the defense because if they can turn it around, then they got a chance. You got to be able to score. I mean, I think our defense will be the better of the two, but you got to be able to put points on the board. Defenses wear out all the time. We see it all the time. Defense can play great for 3 quarters, but if they can't get off the field or if an offense can't keep them off the field so they can regroup, they will wear down. Looking forward to at least not being worse than last year. I mean, that's the best you can say. That is great. At least be better than last year. 8 wins off heart, I'm hoping. How many 5-stars has Mike recruited? Sam McCall, just off top of my dome, 5 stars. Sam McCall was legit 1. Hakeem was 1. I think that's the only 2. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. We weeded out the bad players, replaced them with more experience and new proven coordinates. We weed out the bad players and replace them with other players. We experienced and new proven coordinators. Well, your coordinator, that's fine, but you got to have, you can have Jeff Gordon behind the wheel, but if it's a Honda Civic, it don't matter if he's going against a Formula One car or whatever, or a Ferrari. You can have the best coordinators of all time, but you still have to have horsepower. You still have to have horses to win the race. We'll see. Can we win 6 games? We should be able to win 6 games. We get there with Gus playing beat best players on offense, not most deserving or liked player, and Tony White actually calls an aggressive defense. Are you insinuating that last year we didn't play the best players? We played the most liked players? So Shad says Squirrel. Is Squirrel the best player? Is Squirrel White the best player on offense? Deuce Robinson, he might be the best player on offense. Landon Thomas, the best player on. You see, and this is really my point. We don't have those 3. The fact that you had 3 different answers and 3 straight comments is my entire point. Everybody has an opinion, and that's okay. But if I asked you in 2023 who's the best player on offense, you wouldn't hesitate and you go Jordan Travis, quarterback, obviously. Outside of Jordan Travis was probably Keon Coleman. Like you wouldn't hesitate. If I said who's the best player on defense in 2023? Oh, Jared Verse. Like it's not a debate, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. There isn't any question mark. This entire team is just one giant question mark. And they're going to figure it out on the fly. So you think Shaw, Chuck, and Landon Thomas will be the go-to players on offense? Okay. It would make sense for a quarterback to, like TC, to probably use his, tight ends as a security blanket. We're going to see how he plays. I'm a little bit excited about Amari Williams on defense, personally, KCS. They brought in 2 tight ends in the portal. You brought Marshall Douglas back, and you brought in Randy Pittman. So that told you that they want Amari Williams on defense. I'm a little bit more excited for him on defense. I originally thought you need to pick a side, and they do need to pick a side. I don't want to see him running back and forth. At the time, we were running, 4-man front. Now we're running a 3-man front. I think Amari's going to be fine. Little's progressing. Quindarius Jones is the best corner. I mean, even, we'll see. We'll see who the best corner is. Coming out of the spring, you can believe what you want, whether you believe the reports or not. Jabril Rawls has been the best DB. Now, again, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying. Y'all need to give this shit up. This will never turn around as long as Norvell is here. No one respects this dude. If Gus can't score, he got to go. He's on a 1-year rental. Bro, they're not. No, he's not. If anything, and it's not me defending Gus. He's not on a 1-year rental. You think they're going to fire Gus, and you think Mike Norvell's going to have 3 coordinators in 3 years? If Gus is getting fired, then Norvell's getting fired. I'll tell you that right now. Gus is going to be here for the remainder of Norvell's tenure, however long that is. Whether that's because Norvell gets fired or because Gus decides to retire because maybe Norvell turns it around. Norvell's not firing Gus after 1 year. I'm also a Nebraska fan, and got to say I like Tony White a lot. I feel like he's the only reason Nebraska was kind of decent. Does anyone have faith in Darryl Daryl is going to show up this year. There's going to be a lot of eyes on him. Be interesting to see. I have some faith in that. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I do. Well, we're definitely that's that. Yeah, we're definitely in wait and see mode. That's the point, right? We're in wait and see mode. Yes, sir.
This is rash on my leg and it itches.
We'll take it. Let me see. Same. Well, what I meant to say is if Gus doesn't score points, that's good, yeah. But again, who's your quarterback, Almighty? That's my problem. Is who's the quarterback? We will have a 1K back only. Question is who? I think it's either OU or Chroma. I think y'all are putting again. I said it earlier. I don't know if you was watching earlier. There's too much expectation on Chroma. I'm actually glad that they got Sawchuk out of Oklahoma because I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Chroma. Everybody wants Chroma to come in here and do Adrian Peterson type numbers as a freshman, and I'm like, he's not that caliber of prospect. It doesn't mean he can't be good. It doesn't mean he won't be good. But there is way too much expectations on Chroma right now. Thank God you got the OU back. Who can? I think this year will be a running back by committee. I do not think Chroma is the type of player that you come in and say, "Oh, he's not that." He ain't Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook wasn't that as a freshman. Chroma's not even Dalvin Cook. So I don't know. I don't know why the expectation on Chroma is so high. I get actually why it's so high because we're just starving for some positivity. But there's way too much expectations on that young man. I think Amari is best suited on defense, but your point was made about offense. That's why I'd like to see him on offense. They doing the same thing to Chroma they did to Cam. Kind of true. But we'll see. I think Chroma's I think Chroma's a better prospect than Cam Davis coming out of high school. But again, there's expectation that you just hand the ball to Chroma and all's going to be good in the world. I don't see it. Let's give him a chance to grow. Young man signed a big contract, so that means he has talent. That's how that works. If Gus scored with Nick Marshall, he should be able to score at TC. That's not even. The problem isn't. Here's a better question for you, Almighty. If you want to compare Nick Marshall and Thomas Castellanos, okay, got it. Noted. Neither one of them are very good quarterbacks, but they're solid athletes. Here's the question for you. Auburn's 2013 team, the talent around him, and TC's team this year, the talent around him. You tell me who has the better team. Dalvin set FSU rushing record with 1,000 yards. Almighty, are we what? Are you did you watch the same Dalvin Cook as a freshman? Is your I'm sorry, your memory might be a little shady there. Dalvin Cook had fumble problems. Dalvin Cook didn't start the year. You sure? Didn't say Dalvin Cook wasn't a good player, but they didn't just hand the ball to Dalvin Cook year one and say, take us to the promised land. Granted, you did have Jameis Winston on that team. Granted, I get all that. 100%, right? who's the top 3 receivers this year? Well, it's going to be Deuce. It's going to be Deuce, and then it's going to be probably Squirrel, I guess, and probably Boggs. I know Boggs is a guy that yeah, probably Boggs. If I had to guess, those are probably the top 3. Give me a second. I get that. Didn't say Dalvin Cook wasn't good. I said he wasn't the guy that you gave the ball to and said, carry us. And even if you want to compare Chroma to Dalvin, I'm not sure that's what you're arguing here. There was no talent around Chroma that Dalvin had. Didn't get the benefit of Jameis Winston and these other guys around him. 3 Auburn O-linemen got drafted. 1 was a first rounder, by the way. So they had a first round offensive lineman. You had Trey Mason. Like, you just left off Trey Mason, Montre. I don't remember what round Trey Mason went in. I think Trey was a 3rd or 4th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. And why do I feel like Sammy Coates was also on that Auburn team? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. So at a minimum, they had 5 NFL players on that team. If Coates was the wide receiver, was Sammy Coates on it? I feel like I could be wrong. Could be wrong about Coates, but I know for a fact you had Trey Mason and a first-round offensive lineman. I think his name was Glenn Robinson, if I remember correctly. I'm going to look it up real quick. Auburn 2013 offense. Look real quick here. Look at the players. Obviously, Trey Mason. Yeah, Sammy Coates had 900 yards. So you had Sammy Coates, who went to the NFL. Trey Mason, who obviously goes to the NFL. I don't think Trey Mason had a good career in the NFL, though. And then you had the offensive lineman we're talking about. So you don't have any of that on floor. Just to be clear, you don't have Trey Mason or anything close to that. You don't have 3 offensive linemen that are going to get drafted this year, most likely. I mean, Pettis is probably the most likely just because of he's 6'8". He has measurables. We'll see how he actually plays. And you don't have a wide receiver that's probably going to get you 900. But we'll see. We'll see. Almighty, I'm not about to argue with you about Dalvin. The point was Dalvin Cook. The point I was making was that Chroma shouldn't be the first guy or shouldn't have all the weight of the world on his shoulders. That was the original point. Chroma shouldn't have the weight of the world on his shoulders as a true freshman running back. And then I proceeded to say, not even Dalvin Cook was that. My point stands. Dalvin Cook did not have the weight of the world on his shoulders as a freshman. He jumped into a national championship caliber team. Chroma doesn't have that benefit. Everybody's expecting this guy to come in and have the weight of the world on his shoulders because he doesn't have anything around him. That is the point I was making. So us going back and forth on how good Dalvin Cook was as a freshman is very much irrelevant. 2 running backs that enter 2 separate situations. Coach was definitely on that team. I just looked it up. He had over 900 yards receiving. I'm only saying that TC is good enough to win at least 7 games. It's the AC. Again, I said it before. I say it again. Y'all keep telling me it's the ACC. We went 2-10 in the ACC. We have to stop saying this isn't the same Bama. It's the ACC. All those sayings go out the window. You went 2-10 in the ACC. Stop telling me it's the ACC. So, if TC good enough to win 7 games, well, I don't know. I get it. It's the ACC. I agree with you that it's the ACC. FSU went 2-10 in the ACC. I bet you before last year we all thought DJ Uiagalelei was good enough to win more than 2 games in the ACC. So, yeah. Seven is not good enough for FSU. Just preaching to the choir. How good is Florida going to be this year? I mean, they have DJ. We'll see how you got to see how DJ Lagway progresses, but they've recruited well, so we'll see. If he's a 5-star, well, Chroma wasn't a 5-star. That's the point. Again, good prospect, not Dalvin Cook. And again, I'm not saying you're saying he's Dalvin Cook. So we squashed that. But the point is, Dalvin Cook not only was a 5-star, there was a conversation whether him or Leonard Fournette were the best 2 running backs in the country coming out of high school. Leonard Fournette was the number 1 overall prospect coming out of high school. Dalvin Cook was that. Chroma's not a 5-star. Chroma's a 4-star. High 4-star. But he's not a 5-star. So, and you can look it up. Chroma's not even a top 50 player for us to be saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not even a top 50 guy. He's not a top 75 guy. So, too much expectations on that young man. And I feel like I'm the only one saying that we're expecting way too much at him. It doesn't mean he won't be good. Doesn't mean he isn't good. It doesn't mean he won't be great. But the expectation day one for him to come in and run for 75 yards against Bama is a stretch, in my opinion. Maybe he gets on the field and proves me wrong and he has all the goods, but I don't know. No, DJ Lagway doesn't suck at all. I basically said you don't think FSU. I can't gauge it. Again, I will ask the question that everybody refuses to answer the question, so I'll ask it again. You ask me, do I think FSU's made any progress? What are you looking for coming into the year? Not what you're looking forward to, because I'm looking forward to watching a lot of things. Coming into this year, what do you look on this football team and you go, if nothing else, I know X is going to be a good player. I know this position group's going to be good. There's my question. I don't know if we've progressed at all. Conventional wisdom says they've probably gotten better because when you go 2-10, there's not much worse you can get, right? So conventional wisdom says you should be better than 2-10. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we're going 2-10 again. But I'm also not going to sit here and based off the roster I'm looking at, the level of talent I'm looking at, and tell you that 6-7 wins is automatic, because I don't believe it is. We won't go 2-10 again. Good coaches elevate average talent. Man. If he was a blue chip. Well, that's the case, Almighty Offender. I want you to go look at I hear what you're saying, man, but how long have we been watching college football? Not all blue chips produce. Not all blue chips are like. If that's the case, Why did we go 2-10? Cam Davis was a blue chip. I can go down this. Yes, if he's a blue chip, then they should be able to produce. Got it. Probably. We'll see. I'm just asking your opinion because if FSU is in the same spot we were in 24, then that's straight bonkers. I expect the defense. I do expect the defense to be better as well. Again, I'm not saying we're going to a 10 again. I expect the defense to be better. I expect the offensive line, I do expect to be better. How much better, I don't know. I guess my problem is we are talking about the ACC as if teams have – I don't know if you're paying attention what's going on at Syracuse. They're getting better. Like, we're talking about, like, Florida State being pretty stagnant, and I'm watching SMU's, I'm watching Clemson's. We can hate them all we want, but the notion that Miami isn't doing things like this, like the ACC, it's the ACC, so we should just bank in 6 wins. And I'm like, well, that's already been 3 times in Mike Norvell's 3 times in 6 years since Norvell's been here. He's proven that the ACC, being in the ACC, and he's been here 6 years and he's had 3 losing seasons. Right? 6 years, 3 losing seasons, or 5. Been here, excuse me. This is his 6th year. He's been here 5 years, going into his 6th. And he's had 3 losing seasons in the ACC. So you can't keep telling me it's the ACC because he's had 3 losing seasons in the ACC. Meaning ACC teams have whooped his ass more than he's whooped theirs. Georgia Tech's getting better. Thank you. We've been asking for day one's dudes. Can be or that's the problem. We're not recruiting day one dudes. That's 100% the problem. Yes, we have been asking for them, but they're not. Who are they? Well, if you don't think we're going to go 2-10, what do you think? Where do you think we're going? Based off the roster that I see, I think FSU is a 6-7 to win team. That's my honest opinion. It wouldn't shock me if they only won 5 or 6 because there's not many games on the schedule that you go other than the gimmies, you know, the low teams that you schedule. There's not a bunch of gimme games on. Let's look at FSU schedule. You tell me who's the certified gimme game. They're not there. Alabama week 1, damn sure ain't no gimme game. East Texas A&M, gimme game. Kent State, gimme game. Virginia's not a gimme. Miami's definitely not a gimme. Pitt's not a gimme. Stanford, Wake, Clemson, Virginia. Like, bro, FSU could feasibly lose every game not named East Texas A&M and Kent State. That is a fact. Just based off last year. When last year you went 2-10. Like, what games are we most likely to win? Obviously, the 2 I've already mentioned. That Virginia game is iffy. I don't know how good Pitt is. Don't know how good Stanford is, but that is an away game at Stanford. Wake's always trouble. Like, bro, you look at that schedule again. Bama, East Texas, Kent State, Virginia, Miami, Pitt, Stanford, Wake, Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State. NC State right before Florida. And both of those are WAC games. Like, those are, man. How many gimme games is on the schedule? FSU hasn't recruited anything special under Mike Norvell to begin. That's the problem, Jay. And that's fair. I'm not gonna hold the COVID season against him if you don't want to. So let's take away that first year. He's still 2 losing seasons, 2 winning seasons. I mean, that used to be common knowledge. Mo says, I said 7. I think 7 is the upper. Like, okay, if you go back to that schedule, right? If you're looking at that schedule, where was it? 7 means you obviously win the 2. 7 means you beat East Texas, Kent State, let's say Virginia, Pitt, Stanford, get you to 5. Essentially, that means you have to win 7 games. You have to win every game, not Bama, not Miami, not Clemson, not Florida, and either beat NC State or Wake. Meaning you got to beat Virginia, you got to beat Pitt, Stanford, and either Wake Forest or NC State or Virginia or right. NC State is going to be a night game on the road late November. I really like 7 is I really think 7 is the best possible solution. Unless you're going to pull upsets, always possible. I'm thinking this is a 6-win football team personally. Do I think Gus is a better play caller than Mike? Not necessarily. I actually think Mike's problem isn't his play calling, in my opinion. I don't think Mike's problem is his coaching, to be honest with you. Mike has somebody mentioned it before. Where did they mention that? No, I feel like I read it. I feel like I read it. Oh, right here. That's Mike's problem. I don't think Mike is a bad game day coach, believe it or not. I don't think Mike's a bad play caller. I think when Mike's got his players, I actually think he's a pretty good play caller. Mike's problem is he's treating FSU like Memphis. That's the problem. Mike Norvell believes he doesn't. His recruiting philosophy is I can recruit anybody and I can coach them to be whatever I need them to be. And the truth of the matter is at Florida State, you need dogs. You need horsepower. You can't just recruit any old body and develop them into a good player. No, you need legit athletes because the teams that you're playing, Bama week 1 has legit athletes. The teams that you're recruiting against, Georgia, these teams have legit athletes. The problem is he treated from day 1, he hasn't emphasized recruiting here. He's felt like I don't need the best player, I need the best fit. And that's, in my opinion, the wrong way to go about it. So, but I don't think Gus is necessarily a better play caller than Mike Norvell. I actually don't mind Mike Norvell's play calling. I think his play calling is fine. The 2-10 wasn't play calling. Believe it or not, the 2-10 isn't a culmination of what the criticisms of Mike Norvell had for years. I think Mike is perfect for Memphis because there's not expectation there. He's not perfect for a Florida State. And The biggest problem I have with Mike Norvell is his talent evaluation is low-key trash, at least out of high school. Now, we can argue that his portal evaluations have actually been very good. What happened last year. I get last year was a bad look. But if you look at all the other years, from Keir Thomas to Jermaine to Jamie to Verse, Fisk, like he's Bethune, Jay Sean Corbin, and obviously, like, I mean, Keon Coleman was kind of like a no-brainer. Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson. But out of high school, his evaluations have been terrible, and he might be one of the worst QB evaluators I think I've ever seen. As an offensive-minded head coach, Mike Norvell may very well be the worst QB evaluator I've ever seen. The man hasn't had one good one. Jordan Travis was gift wrapped to him before he ever got here, and look how long it took him to finally give Jordan Travis the reins. Whether it was a Mackenzie Milton, Chubba Purdy, Tate Rodemaker, A.J. Duffy, you name it, the worst QB evaluator I think I've ever seen might be Mike Norvell. That's probably his biggest problem. We beat Wake that 6, and we will squeeze by NC State. That's a lot of hoping. If the losses that determine if Mike stays, if we get blown out every loss, he's gone. FSU good for 2 upsets this year. You pick them. Okay, let's pick them. If you think FSU is good for 2 upsets, I'm here for it. Is that Bama, Miami, Clemson, or Florida? Right? So those 4 games we will undoubtedly not be favored in. That's Florida's at Florida, Miami at home, Bama home, and at Clemson. So you said they were good for 2 upsets. So this team's going to either beat Bama game 1 in Miami, like that. Those are the 2 most likely. Because I don't see us going into Clemson or Florida and winning neither one of those. If those are the 2 upsets, you say we're good for 2. Tell me, what's the 2? Bama and Miami? So you're picking, okay, so you think UF and Clemson. So we're going to go on the road at UF and Clemson. Places where greater teams have took L's. To get this point in the problem is those would be good wins, but I guess the best way I can answer your question, Almighty. Okay, let's say he goes on the road at Clemson and at Florida and wins those games, right? Let's say he does that. What does it matter if you've already lost to Virginia and Pitt the weeks before that? Or what does it matter if you beat Clemson at home and then lose to Virginia Tech the next week? You feel me? So just how you can ask me the questions that you're asking, like I can ask the question, follow-up questions, like what's the record? Because Clemson and Florida's great wins, but not if you lost to Stanford, or not if you laid an egg against Pittsburgh. That might be the case. That may very well be the case. Mike Norvell, let's turn FSU into the Memphis Tigers. UF and Miami, maybe. I get it. We're Florida State fans, so we want to beat the rivals. I think we are more likely to beat Miami than UF just because we get Miami at home. And I personally think DJ Lagway is the goods, personally. And it wouldn't shock me if Florida – I won't say Florida's going to be like super good this year, But it wouldn't shock me if Florida's playing some good ball by the end of the year. You catch Miami relatively early this year. They're the what? 5th game of the season. They have some questions on their roster that I'm curious. I know they got Carson Beck. I'm not sure how that receiving room's looking. They got a new defensive coordinator. Miami's more likely than Florida to me. But I wouldn't favor us in either one. These man said, I did hear JT admit he could only throw the ball 5 yards when he first got to FSU. I'm pretty sure he could throw the ball farther than 5 yards. My son can throw the ball farther than 5 yards, and he's 6. So if Jordan Travis was a Division I football player and couldn't do that, yeah. We ain't beating Clemson. I don't think so. I don't think so either. We ain't beating Clemson either. Montre says Miami the only realistic upset, and I see being honest that you think with only upsetting Miami that gets us 8 wins. So you're telling me you're just gonna run the table on everybody not named Alabama, Clemson, and Florida. So we're gonna go into NC State where we've no like history. History repeats itself. It's why no one has ever been able to invade Afghanistan because history repeats itself. It's why no one has ever been able to invade Russia in the winter because history repeats itself. Historically, we've always gone into NC State, night games, on the road, and failed miserably. And all of a sudden, this team is going to go beat NC State on the road in the night game. Okay, so according to Montre, we're beating every team on this schedule not named Bama. Well, let me get your comment straight. Not named Bama, Clemson, and Florida. Because then that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that would give us 9. So you think we'll lose an extra. So you think, okay, so we might still be in. So you're saying we might still lose to NC State or Virginia, but we're definitely going to beat everybody else. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Georgia, well, we don't play Georgia Tech this year. Thank God we don't play Georgia Tech. We play Virginia Tech, though. We play Stanford. I don't know how good Stanford is. Stanford, what was Stanford's record last year? Oh, they were just as bad as us. They were 3-9, but they were better than we were. Wake Forest was pretty bad. NC State wasn't great, but again, I can't talk shit about anybody because we all sucked. So, in theory, sure, you can beat a couple of these teams. Like, we should be favored against Stanford. We should be favored against some of these teams, but I just don't like beating, going into Clemson and beating Clemson with this team. I don't see that. I don't see that. You be trying to make me look dumb. I'm trying to make you look dumb. I think we can all appreciate Finn's optimism, but online fan hope doesn't count as wins. On paper, it's not necessarily a tough schedule. Virginia last year was 5-7. Pitt 7-6. Where I looked at Stanford, they were the second worst team in the ACC because we know who the worst team was. Wake was only 4-8. And even NC State was 6-7. So again, on paper, really on paper, man, all the teams not named Florida, Clemson, Miami, and Alabama had losing records last year. Kent State didn't win one game last year. Virginia Tech finished 6-7. So theoretically, sure, we can beat all the teams that had losing records last year. The problem is we also had a losing record last year. And for everybody that's saying, oh, we have a new X, Y, and Z, I mean, those other teams haven't just sat patiently by and not made moves either. You feel me? So it's so hard for me to sit here and go, yeah, Clemson, Stanford sucked last year. We got that. Like, everybody's made moves. NC State's made moves. Virginia Tech's made moves. Everybody in the offseason has done something and made some moves. So we went 2-10. So y'all think we'd be two? No one said that. FSU's asking for a lot of extra money to still be 2-10. Well, yeah, FSU's asking for a lot of money to ever be 2-10 ever. FSU's asking for a lot of money to win 6 games or 7 games, like some of us are hoping for. But no one said that FSU was going 2-10 again. 7, and I'm pleased, not happy. So why are you pleased about 7 games, Momo? I'm curious. I'm gonna shift the subject because, well, I want to have a proactive conversation. Why are you? And we've already been on here for 2 hours, man. So please hit the like button. But why would 7 games please you? I'm just curious about that. What has 7 games done? Okay, no, I hear you, but I want you to look in the bigger picture because that's a short-sighted answer. I want you. Because what does 7 games do for you as a Florida State fan? You say you're a Florida State fan. 7 games does what for the program? Because I got a real controversial take that people don't want to hear, people don't want to maybe admit. I arguably believe it'd be better if FSU did win 2 games again this year. Because then we can get done with this Mike Norvell thing, and we can move on to the next and hopefully do a proper hiring and really vet some legit recruiting type coaches. And because I said it before, and I'm going to say it again, but all you Florida State fans that keep saying, 6-7 wins, yeah, let's just do that. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but it's 2025, and we keep talking about 2013. A lot of y'all Florida State fans are really starting to sound like Miami fans, talking about the good old days. A lot of y'all are really starting to say, and that's what's going to happen if you want to tread water and keep being mid-tier. We just get 6 wins, man. We're going to say that every year. If we just get 6 or 7 wins, the next year's going to be better. And the next year's going to be better. And then the next year, no. Miami's been saying it for 20. FSU, we're on our way. We're on our way to being Nebraska and Miami right now. I said it before and I'll say it again. It would be, I Unless Mike Norvell, and I'm going to say it again, and I stand on it, unless he's winning 10 games and competing for a playoff spot this year, it does no good to go 6, 7, 8 wins. I'm just telling you the truth. You are just treading water. It would be better for that man to lose 2-10 again this year and us fire him and burn the house down and start over anew. My controversial take. And I believe that. It would be better off to just go 2-10 again. Because 6 and 7 wins, I don't believe get you anything. Just be honest with you. Other than people saying, and see, I hate this question. You go, who do we bring in? Bro, I don't know who we bring in. I don't have the answer for you. No clue. Who was Dabo Swinney before he became Dabo Swinney? He was nobody. Who was Urban Meyer before he became Urban Meyer? And the list goes on and on and on. I don't know who we bring in, but that's why you hire the right people to vet the coaches and hire the right guy. That's why these people get paid all this money to do that. Find the next great head coach. Go find them. Go find them. There's a million young coaches around the country waiting at an opportunity. Go find them. Hell, is it Tony White? I don't know. But go find them. Don't ask me who we bring in because I don't have the answer. Go find them, though. Can we even fire him? Probably not after this year, no. I think if he goes 2-10, I think there's heavy consideration. I think if there's one thing we know, they'll find the money to fire a guy if they need to fire him. Do we go young again or look for a seasoned coach? That's a better question, right? I like that question better than, who do you hire? The better question is, what direction do you go if you're Florida State? Because if you fire Mike, that's a big buyout. So that means you can't go poach a major coach. So now you have to ask yourself, do you go like the Florida State basketball route? Do you go the Florida State basketball route where maybe you're hiring a younger, upcoming guy, not very well known, right? But maybe you can do that. Again, don't have the answer, but I like that question better than, who do you go get? Because I don't know who you go get, but damn it, you go get somebody, right? Who was Mike before he came here? A mid-tier football coach at Memphis. I mean, if we're being honest, he took over a already rolling Memphis program because Fuentes had Memphis already on the come up. He took that over. Again, this isn't revisionist history from me because I've said it before. I said it when they hired him. You don't fire Willie Taggart in the manner that they fired Willie Taggart. I wasn't against firing Willie Taggart at all. But you fired that man midway through his second year. If that's the move you do, Mike Norvell isn't the guy you go hire. Like, that was my opinion from Mike from day one. I don't fire a guy in his second year, and it's not – I remember Bob Stoops and all of that. I'm not saying I ever believed in it, but that was this type of guy you were supposed to go get. If you're going to fire Willie Taggart in year 2, not even 2 full years, then it was supposed to be for the Kirby Smarts of the world, guys like that. I'm not saying you were going to hire Kirby, but it was supposed to be for something like that, like a big name coordinator that was like can't miss. They went and got Mike Norvell, man. And everybody's surprised here we are. Are you on the yeah, after 2-10, I'm 100% on the fire Mike Norvell train. And the sad part is for me, It took me 4 or 5 years to get here. I've been a Mike Norvell defender for his first 3-4 years, especially after COVID and all that. Like, I understood that Mike Norvell's behind the 8 ball and there were things out of his control. You feel me? Like, I understood all of that. I've defended Mike. If you've watched me, you know very much that I have never called for Mike Norvell's job, even after the first 3 years of him being here, where he had the 2 losing seasons in a row. But after you're going 2-10 in year 5, that is insane. That is insane. So yes, I'm on the Mike Norvell fire train. Please get out of here. I'm not sure people understand the damage that 2-10 season has caused. But you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. Call up Kenny. I'm not against it. My only pushback on Kenny Dillingham, I would like to see him follow it up. I would like to see Kenny Dillingham follow it up. I'd like to see him. Last year was great. Let me see if he can do it again. Definitely got to bring in a recruiter. You know, I was never on the higher Deion bandwagon. But I'm gonna say the same thing about Deion that I just said about Kenny Dillingham, because people forget how bad the first year at Colorado was. Let me see Deion follow it up, and let me see him follow it up post Travis Hunter, post Shadur. It's gonna be interesting to watch. But from the optics and how Deion would have recruited here, 100%. We hired a mid-level coach who brought in mid-level coaches. That's a fact. Prime not a coach, just a soccer mom with a whistle. Well, this is college football, and I'm not against the soccer mom with the whistle when he can recruit. Let's see, last year he already recruited number 1 player who was a Heisman winner and went to the Jaguars. Number 2 or something like that. So he recruited him. Then he recruited the number 1 offensive lineman coming out of high school in Seton. Had a big-time quarterback recruit this past season. Point is, whether or not you think Prime's a coach or not, I don't need Prime to coach per se. I need him to put a coaching staff around himself, and I just need him to recruit the best players in the country, which I believe if he was wearing garnet and gold, he could absolutely do that. But like I said, I would like to see him follow it up. Let's see what he can do in this will be year 3 at Colorado. Let's see what he does. Fired Willie and got a white Willie. Ain't that that's hilarious. I don't think you can name another coach that went 2-10 in year 5 and kept his job after that. I think Mike's problem is his philosophy, man, and a zebra and tigers, and they don't change their stripes. A leopard don't change its spots. Like, he believes what he believes. Well, it's a little bit different when you say he's coached at every level. Okay, he's coached at high school. Okay, you know, I know part-time math teachers that are coaching at high school, bro. Like, okay. Then at Jackson State I get all of that, right? That is a little bit skewed from the standpoint that he was simply taking all the top transfer guys out of D1 and bringing them to Jackson State. Okay. First year at Colorado, some stuff got exposed there. Second year at Colorado, it didn't start off great. They fixed it, and he did end up, winning a good amount of games. Just follow it up. Just follow it up is all I'm saying. Can Brian Hartline, Joe Long died. He want to be on. people have been talking about Heartline for a while. So the way coaching works in a weird way. If Heartline, you don't think a team has called up Heartline to be a head coach? I'm not so sure that Heartline wants or is that. Some guys are just recruiters or position coaches. Do you think it's normal? Yes, pull up. Yes. Do I believe NIL caused who? Mike Norvell? Do I believe Mike Norvell is in the situation because of NIL? Please explain that question to me. Because this is the same Mike Norvell who's benefited from NIL. You don't think NIL played in the Jarrett Verse recruitment, the Keon Coleman recruitment, the Braden Fisk recruit? Like, all of a sudden, now, this is one of the narratives that I hate. This is why this is the problem I have with a lot of these people on Twitter and all these platforms. You know, and everybody has a platform. I created one for myself. And you don't have, everybody has an opinion and they're entitled to speak it. But it's always an excuse for Mike Norvell. That is one of my biggest, always an excuse for Mike Norvell. Now the running narrative now is Mike Norvell, the NIL budget is trash. Wasn't trash when they got Keon Coleman. Wasn't trash last year when you signed all those big-time guys that just didn't pan out. Now, you ain't signing nobody? Oh, NIL money, shady. I don't know. Go talk to Battles and Ingram. If the NIL money shady. Go holler at Ingram. Always an excuse. All I know is Miami just paid for the number one player in the country on the offensive line, go figure. And everybody's like, they paid $2 million or $35 million. They paid a gajillion dollars for the kid. I don't care how much money they paid for him. They just got the number one offensive lineman, not only in the country, but the number one player in the country. Oh, where did I see that before? They did it a couple years ago with Maui Goa. You got to pick a side. You're either in or you're out. At least if I'm a Miami fan, I know they're bringing in the talent, at least if I'm a Miami fan. Now, whether Mario does anything with it, we can have a whole different conversation. But Miami fans ain't sitting around in the off seasons questioning the talent on the team, at least. Yeah, again, I don't know if Heartline has any desire to be a head coach. He's got a pretty sweet gig up there at Ohio State. Makes a lot of money, and he just signs the top wide receivers in the country like that, No, unless he goes 2-10 again. No, I don't believe so. Pull up. With the right shit around Mike, he could have success. Went from 3 wins to 13 wins. Now back to 2 wins. Get off this damn roller coaster with the right stuff around him. What's the right stuff, Montre? Again, we give Mike Norvell the benefit of that. And again, I'm not even a Willie Taggart like guy. But damn, Taggart coached here a year and a half. And nobody batted an eye when they fired him. Well, I won't say nobody. There were definitely people who were mad about that firing. Mike's had more support than maybe any coach in the history of this program. New stadium, athletic facilities, increased staff pay. Mike Norvell was able to get Adam Fuller and these guys way more like – the man has more support. The right stuff. Mike Norvell is responsible for the right stuff. Say the right coordinators. Mike Norvell decided to keep Adam Fuller around. He decided to promote Alex Atkins. He just decided to do X, Y, and Z. Again, after 2023, and I know it wasn't a popular opinion, and I'm not saying that I'm always right, but what did I come on here and say? They need to make staff moves. This is the perfect time. I get you got snubbed, but you just had an undefeated regular season. No one's really going to hold the bowl game against you. You just got a major extension if you're Mike Norvell. Move on from some of these coordinators, these guys that are not adding to the staff, and hire better guys. And everybody said, hell no, you don't know what you're talking about. Why would you do X, Y, and Z? You just won X amount of games. Keep these guys forever, only for the next year and all of them to be fired. Who the hell's looking like Nostradamus here? The year I said they should have moved, instead of extending Adam Fuller and these guys, shake their hand, say thank you, but we're going to move in a different direction. It would have been so easy because you didn't have to fire anybody and pay a buyout. You could have just let them walk. And there would have been coaches lining up to coach at your team, to coach this talent. And instead you extended them. And now you had to pay and then just the next year you fired them and didn't have to pay the buyouts for everybody. Like, come on. The writing was on the wall and we did the opposite. That's all on Mike Norvell. He's making those decisions. The right guys. He has a chance to have the right guys. He stuck with what he stuck with. Thank you. Mike Norvell has everything Jimbo wanted when he left. Thank you, Momo. And look, I hate the way Jimbo left, but damn, this is what Jimbo was asking for. Mike got everything Jimbo asked for. And Mike and Jimbo Fisher won you a natty. And he damn sure wasn't recruiting in the teams. Jimbo was pulling in top 5 classes. A couple times pulling in the number 1 class. And you couldn't give him this. No, a dang baby. It was a necessity then. He just had the foresight to see it. That's usually what great minds do. And I understand what happened at Texas A&M. It was a necessity then, because if you don't think Bama was doing it then, if you don't think other programs are doing it then, you're wrong. He just had the foresight to go, hey, this is the way college football's moving. Let's get ahead of the curve. Instead of being proactive, Florida State became reactive. That's a silly question. If he wins 9 games every year until the end of his contract, no, they're not going to fire him. Next. I don't believe coaches can't save Mike Norvell, bro. It's not about coaches. And I don't take anything I'm saying personally. This is a general statement, Almighty. This isn't directed to you personally. But I do. How long have some of us been watching college football? College football has never been about the coaches. This isn't the NFL where the talent level, I don't care what team you're looking, NFL's talent is here. That's where coaching makes it. College football has never been about the coaches. College football, college sports in general have always been about talent. Even Bobby Bowden said that, and that's Bobby Bowden didn't win 2 national championships because he was the greatest coach of all time. It's because he had freaking Derrick Brooks and Marvin Jones and Charlie. Like, college football has always been about the talent, not the coaches. The coaches can't save Mike Norvell. Him getting better player. Newsflash, 2023, you think the coaches won Mike Norvell 13 games? No. Jarrett Verse, Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman, Kalen DeLoach. The talent won that. College football has always been about the talent. It's not about the coaches. Would you be opposed to, at this point, honestly, no. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not even going to lie. As crazy as that may sound, I would fire Mike today if you told me I could get Jimbo back. Honestly, I think that hurt Jimbo because he won a ship and they said no. So he took probably, and again, I hate the way Jimbo Fisher left, and I could probably never forgive him for that, even though I just said I'd take him back. And winning cures all, by the way. But he probably did take it personal. And it's a shame FSU has had to go through what they've gone through just to realize that the man was right. But win the 9 games is not FSU standard. I think, that's not the – see, here's the thing, pull up. You asked a simple question. Let's say Mike Norvell wins 9 games every year until the end of his contract. Do you think FSU pulls the trigger by not retaining him? The answer is no. I think they wholeheartedly would keep him. Now, whether I would or X, Y, and Z is irrelevant. They owe him too much money to fire him. And 9 wins, if you're winning 9 games, you might not get an extension, but you're probably not getting fired. True, acquiring and developing. What's up, Irv? But so I promise y'all, I do not intentionally come on here and try to be this angry. The more I talk about Mike Norvell, man, the angrier I get. Like the more I talk about this, because I can't. Never in my day did I thought I'd watch a 2-10 team. I remember clowning Florida when they went 4-8 or whatever it was they went. Only for us to go 2-10. Like, no. So I would love to come in here. And I'll be honest with you. I feel like if we had a better caliber of quarterback, I'd have more optimism for this upcoming season. I just don't see it. And I hope TC proves me wrong, but I really don't see it with him. I really don't. In your opinion, what is your FSU standards? What does it matter what my standard is? My standards are relevant because it's damn sure not 7-6 games. Okay? What you want, a win total? 10 games a season. Most programs would take that. But I don't need to put a win total on it. Do you one better? My FSU standard is very simple. To compete for the conference championship and or national championship every year. Period. You ain't got to put a win total on it. You need to be competing for the conference and or national championship every year. It's that simple. That's my Florida State standard. So you make the playoff. Am I going to call him a great coach? No. But again, I never said he was coaching, strictly coaching, actually like X's and O's play calling. I don't think it's Mike Norvell's problem. It's recruiting. So let's look into the future. Florida State wins enough games to get qualified for the college football playoff. Cut the rest of the dead weight on your staff. Get rid of JP. Continue. I won't put out names. Continue to try to upgrade your staff. You need some bona fide guys on the trail. Okay, getting to the playoffs is awesome. You should be able to recruit after getting to the playoffs. We've seen it already, right? Win a bunch of games, but the recruiting doesn't really jump up to where it needs to jump up to. Get to the playoffs, awesome, but what does it matter if you're still finishing with the number 15 class in the country? Like, we've been here before. So that would be my next step. Okay, great. We're back on track. Let's get more. Let's get the recruiters on the staff. And let's try our damnedest to start signing the best players in the country. How was Deion better? He's a good recruiter, but not done anything like win a conference championship yet. He's not proven yet. Like I said, Deion needs to follow it up. He needs to follow it up. He'll get the talent, but like I said, college football's always been about talent. It's never been about coaches. It's been about the coaches that can get the talent. People forget that Bobby Bowden was considered one of the all-time great recruiters of all time. Basically, once Bobby Bowden did a home visit, there was a wrap. It's always about talent. It's the talent. Get the talent, you'll be all right. That's college football for you. See, the funny thing about that is, man, he played with Gus and couldn't get on the field. So I don't know. Now, granted, he was a true freshman that year, and I get all of that. He didn't stick around with Gus, but, I get it. His skill set absolutely fits what Gus should want to do. I would agree with you there, Irv. What about this offseason makes you think? You asking me? Because I don't. Nothing. On this staff, rank the top recruiters. Yeah, I asked this question earlier in the live stream. I said, who's the best recruiters on the staff? People only on an entire staff, people only name two guys. You know who the two guys that people name? Herb Hand and Pat Surtain. Because you damn sure can't name who you gonna name. I told him I think Coach Yak deserves credit. So what, 3? 100%, Almighty. Got to recruit for the better. 100%. Happy with the linebackers. Yeah, I'm happy with the room. I mean, I think they got a good mix of middle tier experienced guys, veteran guys with Herring and the other guy from Nebraska. And then you still got your core guys of Blake Nicholson, right? And Blake and Omar and Cryer. We'll see how he comes back from his injury. And then you have the young guys too that you brought in, probably led by the freshman out of North Carolina. So, I mean, you got a mix there. I like the room in its totality. Now find the right guys and get them on the field. So I think the linebackers will be a better unit than last year. Granted, that unit last year had to rely because Sean Murphy absolutely sucked and Cam Riley was barely playable. So the veterans that you brought in they sucked. So you had to play young Blake Nicholson and you had to play these young guys. I think now I think the floor in the linebacking room is a lot higher than it was last year. I don't expect them to be that bad this year. Momo. Well, it's hard to give it a grade. I can't give it a grade. I can't give something a grade that I haven't seen. Right? It's hard for me to give any position group on this team a grade because we didn't get to see it in the spring. Like I was explaining earlier, again, don't know if you was watching earlier, Momo. What the spring game does do for you. Again, take the score out of it, take the plays that they're running out of it. None of that crap means anything because no coach worth his weight actually runs the plays they're going like. Everything's generic. Take all that stuff out. But what the spring game does show you, it does show you guys playing in real time, and you can see if a guy has it. Does he have an extra gear? Does he have a little bit more wiggle than you expect? Like you can watch individual players and go, oh, I like the way he looks. Like if you have that eye for it, right? And I'll bring it up again, not to toot my own horn, but after that spring game, and I told everybody, I said, Jeremiah Byers isn't as good as y'all think he is. And y'all know how that career played out. Because you can just see guys in real motion. It would have been nice to see some of the linebackers. It would have been nice to see this team. Just so I can see how some of these individual players look. So I can't give anybody a grade. I think I like the combination of talent in the back of room. Of veteran guys who kind of know what they're doing, have been through it, including the Omar and Blake in them. So that's what I like about the back room. How that gets put on the field remains to be seen. What are you looking to see versus Bama? I'm looking to see how our offensive and D lines stack up. I'm looking to see, can we block them and can we get some pressure on the quarterback? If we can do those two things, we should be able to keep that game close. And if you keep the game close, you never know what happens, right? If we can block them, that means we should be able to run the ball effectively. If we can run the ball effectively, the passing lanes are going to open up for TC. That will make the passings easier for him. If we can't block and we can't run, Castellanos he's not going to throw you. Castellanos, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has no chance. So that's what I'm looking for. How do the offensive and defensive lines play? We do those things, and again, we might be able to keep Bama close. And if we can keep them close, who knows what happens? And then defensively, can we get pressure on the quarterback? Because if we can get pressure, it's going to make our DB's jobs a lot easier. If we can't get pressure on that quarterback, man, I don't know if our secondary stacks up against the receiving core. But it's going to start in the trenches. It's going to start in the trenches, especially on offense. I mean, on both sides of the ball, but Gus Malzahn offense is going to really be predicated on the O-line. What else we got, man? We've been on almost 3 hours, man. Thank y'all for kicking with me. Late night, Noles after dark. What else? We got anything else, or y'all want to cut it short? You can cut it. I mean, I don't got all this FSU gear up for nothing. Like, I'm still a fan at the end of the day, and I'm still gonna root for these boys. Hell, I got it tattooed on me. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that don't mean I can't be pissed off about it. And I can only be honest in my assessment. Like, I want Thomas Castellanos to play well for a couple reasons. First and foremost, so we can win some damn football games. Secondly, so we can recruit a better quarterback. Because I'll tell you right now, if he don't play well, you're not recruiting the Duckworths and all these other quarterbacks that you're trying to get to commit to your program. If TC out there playing like hot trash, good luck recruiting a quarterback that's worth the damn. So I want him to play good so we can win games and so we can get the next great quarterback for the Gus Malzahn system. Like, can we do that? So I'm rooting for TC, But I got to be honest in my assessment of him. Got to run the ball. Got to stop the run. Definitely want to see how the trenches hold up. When your DBs have more tackles in the game than the backers and D-line, you are in trouble. How are your Knicks doing? Terrell, don't do that. Don't pour salt in a wound. Don't do that. Almighty says keep it rolling. Keep it rolling for a little bit if y'all want to. Like when you look at these quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, like I know we offered Keyshawn Henderson. Do I think we have a chance at him? No, not really. But you damn sure don't have a chance at him if Thomas Castellanos playing like trash. Landon Duckworth, he's favored to Ole Miss. He's a top 50 guy. Like, oh, how do we not get Landon? Please, can we? He was trending towards UCF at one point, and somehow, and you would think that was because of Malzahn. I'm not sure that recruitment's over. Maybe it is. I don't know. It ain't. It's gonna be over if TC comes out there and plays like trash. I'll tell you that. And there's another quarterback I know that we're in the mix for. He's committed to Oklahoma right now. Jaden O'Neal. He's not the caliber of the first two dudes that I named, but he is a composite 4-star. And FSU's got him June 15th on an in-house visit. A lot of people think he's gonna, I won't say flip, but decommit. Yeah, let's see what happens with Jaden O'Neal. I'd be okay with Jaden O'Neal with a dual threat guy. They also had offered Bo. I don't even see him, but I don't think he's considering Florida State as of right now. I forget his name. Where's he at? Forget his name. It's like Bo something. I don't even see him on here. Maybe it wasn't Bo. Anyway. Bo Bentley. There he is. Yeah. And he's looking like he's a top 100 player himself. But again, FSU can't land none of the top guys. But I'd be cool with getting a guy like a Jaden O'Neal. If we talking about quarterbacks. Rhett's an interesting. I don't know if I'd be mad at that. Rhett recruits. Obviously we know he coached at Miami. He's got his Florida ties. He's went to SMU and got him in the damn playoff. I would not be mad at Rhett Lashley. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I wouldn't be mad. How do you guys feel about Rhett Lashley? I like that. I like that Almighty. I like it. How do I feel about Sperry? I hope we don't have to see him on the field this year. I don't know if he will be good. I'm not gonna, again, given Mike Norvell's history. No, I don't have much faith in Sperry. But what I do know is I don't want to see him on the field this year. It's Gus calling plays. He's 100% calling plays. Gus wouldn't have came if he wasn't going to call plays. You need my opinion on RG3 and Ryan Clark situation? What specifically would you like my opinion on? When you got running backs, so running backs, I don't know if FSU's in the mix for any of the top running backs in the country. I know we have a running back commit already in Amari Thomas, and I know they got guys that they're looking at, but I'm not worried about running backs. Like Florida State will find running backs. We need to emphasize quarterback recruiting this offseason. Look at Ohio State recruiting these receivers. It's crazy. Chris Henry Jr., both out of Mater Dei. That's wild. 2 top 5 receivers. That's what Miami does. Excuse me, that's what Ohio State does. Calvin Russell. Looked like so Calvin Russell is a composite 4-star top 5 wide receiver in the country. Is visiting Florida State on the 15th, but is committing on the 5th of June. Probably to Florida. Let's see what Florida State's doing on the offensive line. Since everybody thinks Herb Hand one of the better recruits, or recruiters, should I say. All right. RG3 is notoriously a Rob Parker said it years ago. If y'all don't know who Rob Parker is, Rob Parker called RG3 a cornball years ago. And he was right. RG3's the only thing I'll say about Ryan Clark, for the most part, I actually agree with what he said. He didn't have to bring his wife into it. He could have made his point with, because anytime you bring someone's family members, wife, kids, whatever into a situation, you automatically put yourself at a disadvantage because now it's a personal attack and they have the right to defend themselves in any way, shape, or form they want to, right? Ryan Clark could have made the same point he was trying to make without bringing his wife into it. We 100% need O-line recruits. That's what I was just looking at. I don't see if Florida State's not in position for any of the top offensive. Matter of fact, let's see. Before I say that, right now FSU has a 24th ranked recruiting class. I want to see who are they trending for, which they're not trending for anybody. No, I won't say that. Obviously, they might be trending for some. But in terms of offensive line, so offers, FSU is throwing out a ton of offers. Whether it's Landon Duckworth, Bo Bentley, who they're cool on. That's just quarterbacks, but we ain't talking quarterbacks right now. If you go to running backs, one of the players they're kind of warm on is Xavier Kroll. This is one of the better players in the entire country. Composite national top 30 guy. Considered the number 2 running back. The problem is, yes, Florida State's in the mix. The problem is, so is Georgia, Texas, Auburn, and Alabama. So that's going to be a recruitment. Jay Lamar, running back, another top running back Florida State's looking at. And, of course, they already have 1 running back commit. I already talked about Calvin Russell. Xavier McDonald out of Mississippi might be another player, Florida State, in terms of wide receivers. I'm not looking at guys that are currently committed, though I know none of these commitments. Then you got Justin Williams out of Gainesville. He's probably not coming to Florida State. And FSU already has 1 receiver committed, but he is a good player. Don't get me wrong. Composite top 200 guy, good player, but we need some more talent on this team. Let's go to O-line. But you asked about O-line specifically. Let's find this offensive line. So the offensive tackles. They're cool on everybody. I'm just going, and this, hey, so let me say this. I want to say this real quick. You talk about offensive linemen for this particular recruiting class. This might be one of the deeper offensive line classes you've seen in a long time. Just at the offensive tackle position, this class has 5 5-stars. And like another 5 in the top, like 100. It was like a deep O-line class. And Florida State, they're looking at a guy named Johnny Jones, composite top 150 guy, 6'6", 305 out of Tampa. They're warm on him. Samuel Rosenberg out of Clearwater, 6'5", 285. So let's see if Herb Hand can pull out some of these guys. I'm liking these prospects I'm seeing so far. Kamari Blair out of Tennessee, 6'6", 280. That is a composite 4-star top 300 guy. He's at 287. Wilson Zaire, 6'6", 280. Deron Parks, 6'5", 350. Yeesh. That's a monster of a kid. Top 300 kid, 4-star composite. So they got a couple offensive linemen that they're targeting. Excuse me. Malcolm Gaston out of South Carolina. He is not a top. He's the number 500 player in the country, so he's not a top tier guy. But he's got offers from Georgia, Florida, Virginia Tech. 6'5", again, 345. So he's a beast. Let me get back to the comments. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, Irv. Made a great point. You didn't have to bring in the wife. He said we had 2 3-star O-linemen. So but from who they're targeting some. I mean, I like these guys that they're targeting. Aaron Thomas is another offensive lineman, 6'7", 300. He's not very highly rated at 594 nationally, but one thing, what do I always say about offensive linemen? Follow the offers. This kid, Aaron Thomas, has offers from A&M, Ohio State, Texas. So they see something in them that they like. And that's just on the offensive tackle side. If you look at the interior O-lineman, let's go there real quick. Brandon Anderson seems to be the top guy on Florida State's board, potentially. 4-star kid out of Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's in the mix. Florida, Missouri, North Carolina, Tennessee seem to be the teams there. Tyler, I can't even say that last name, but he's out of Georgia as well. 6'6", 290 interior. Recruiting against Florida, Ole Miss, and Cincinnati. Question is, can we land them? Let's see. So they're after, the good amount of offensive linemen. They got a wide net cast. They've got a wide board. Here's a bigger question. What about defensive line? Defensive line is a problem. I don't know what it is about D-line that we can't get any traction with any of these top kids. I mean, you got one right in Pensacola and Trenton Henderson, that Florida State can't get any traction with. He's a composite top 75 guy. Then you got a kid out of Georgia and Bryce Perry White. Florida State can't get any traction with. Jamari Carlton, no traction with. He's out of Texas. Valdon Sohn out of Virginia. I remember when Florida State used to go into Virginia and almost take anything they want. No traction with him. Vodney Cleveland out of Bama, nothing. Aiden Harris, nothing. You got a kid out of Fort Myers and Kendall, Gerville, 6'5", 315. I'll take that all day. Composite, top 50, 150 guy. But it looks like Texas and Florida are in the lead for that. And again, I'm going to defend Terrence Knighton from this standpoint. These are different caliber of prospects he's had to recruit. And I don't think he has a lot of relationships with a lot of these guys. That's the problem, I think. That's what I think. I think I agree with you. I think Kevin Wynn has the ceiling to be the next great old lineman, but you're right. You will see. All right. Let's look at a couple more guys, and then I'm going to get on out of here. And then, so on a positive note, FSU still in the mix for top linebacker Xavier Griffin out of Gainesville, Georgia. Though he's being projected to Alabama, I mean, he's visiting Florida State on the 15th. That's after leaving Texas. FSU actually gets the last visit of the summer, right? So he visited Ohio. Well, he visits Ohio State May 30th. From there, he goes to Bama. From Bama, he goes to Texas, and we get the last visit there. JP wants me to shut up about him. Land this one. When's the last time we landed a linebacker worth a damn? 5-star, composite 5-star, by the way, Xavier Griffin linebacker. Like, can we get that? That's a pipe dream, I know, but at least we making some type of, moves on the linebackers. Then you got TJ White out of Mississippi, another player that Florida State's in the mix for. He visits Florida State on June 6th. He's a composite, like, top 100 caliber guy. You want me to show whose film? They got a couple linebackers that they're in the mix with. Rodney Colton, another composite 4-star. He's out of Georgia. I don't know. FSU might have a decent. Who knows, man? FSU might recruit some decent backers this year. Let's go to corners. Corners is kind of concerning. I feel like for some reason Pat's been here a little longer. We should have some more traction, but we are in the mix for top corner in one of the top corners in the country, in Chauncey Kennan out of Sarasota. He's a national top 70 guy. And of course, all the big dogs are after him. But we get a June 6th visit there. But I mean, we're recruiting against LSU, Georgia, Miami, and Florida for this one, and that's just the short list of teams we're recruiting for. Samari Matthews. I don't know. I feel like we should be after some higher caliber DB. But that's just me. Out of St. Thomas, Justin Fitzpatrick. For some reason, Florida State's not really in the mix for that one. Go to the safeties. It's dead cold on the safeties, with the exception of a couple guys. Last top backer was Amari. We need to find another Sims, Smith, Hayes type. It's been a while since we had any of that. We actually already got 2 safeties committed to Florida State. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this recruiting class plays out, man. Mike. Get it together. Get it together, Mike Norvell. Still not agree. I don't disagree, but we've been saying it. I don't disagree with you. You look at some of the stuff I'm looking at, just some of the guys we're targeting. Sometimes what's glaring isn't the guys that you're targeting, it's the guys that you didn't offer to. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. This was a good Noles after dark because it's late in the AM, especially on the East Coast. But I'm gonna get at y'all and try to keep making this a more consistent thing. But as always, man, it's your boy POLK over on 863 Cinema TV. Stay classy, and we are out here. Go Noles.